This is Sunday Sport. I'm Tony Ndoro. Good to have you with us. Now, senior sports writer Simnikiwe Xabanisa joins me this evening as he did yesterday in the morning. Mpengesi has moved quickly to hire a new coach, and it's a familiar face. Dan Malisela goes back for another spell with the Chile Boys. Later on in the show, we'll bring you all 17 coaches, 17 who've been hired and fired by Mpengesi. But first up, let me welcome Ilana Kloss, all the way from California. She's joining us now via Zoom about a tennis tournament she's involved in, taking place in Potchefstroom this coming February. Sims is with me. Ilana is joining us on the wide screen there. Ilana, thank you so much for joining us. And I know this tournament was supposed to take place, almost started a little bit earlier on in 2020. We know what happened in 2020. It had to be cancelled because that was in March. The pandemic hit us very hard. It's going to take place this coming February, and that's fantastic news.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me on, Tony and Sims, and just sending happy, safe and healthy holidays to everybody back in South Africa. And yes, I mean, it was wonderful news to hear from Richard Glover, the CEO of Tennis South Africa, that the Ilana Kloss Invitational, along with a couple of ATP men's tournaments, was going to take place, I believe, the week of February the 8th in Potchefstroom, along with, the men and women together. So I think that's fantastic news because, tennis is one of the sports that you can play and be socially distant. And I think it's so important for, young girls as well as the boys to be able to have opportunities locally in South Africa to be able to earn, the very much coveted ranking points so that they can play internationally and, move up the rankings.
Ilana, sorry to be a downer first up, but I just want to know, the February the 8th, is that date cast in stone in the event of all this talk about a second wave and the sort of a stronger strain of the virus? Is it cast in stone regardless?
I honestly don't know. That really is a decision that, will be taken by the International Tennis Federation, the ATP, which governs the men's tour, as it relates to the event in South Africa. Obviously, with the new strain, I think it puts everything in question because we all want safety first, and we need the entire population to be safe. So while tennis is a great sport to play, I think obviously it's safety first, and can people travel? So it's probably, I think that's the goal. The one thing, Sims, that tennis has done, I think, incredibly well this whole year is be able to have big events and some small events, but to make sure that they're safe, to make sure there's adequate testing, that there's a bubble, that everybody feels safe. So I have no concerns. If they have the tournament, it will be safe because that is the most important thing. There's a lot more at risk than playing tennis, but I really commend the International Tennis Federation, ATP, WTA, and even Tennis South Africa for the job they've done, because it hasn't been easy, and there's so many factors. So, I think for now we just wait and see. Everybody has to be flexible, and Billie Jean King, who is my partner and who I work with, she always said champions adjust, and I think that's what we're going to have to do actually the entire year, even next year, because there's still so much unknown.
I'll tell you what, Ilana, and I'm sure you remember this, in Potch it is blazing hot. That's another thing that these youngsters are going to have to worry about. But listen, on this is part of the, you spoke about the ITF, and, this is a great opportunity for some of these youngsters to maybe have a chance of becoming elite athletes, isn't it?
For sure. I think the most important thing, is access, right? That you have to have access to be able to play and develop. And then I think, you have to see it to be it, right? So I was a ball girl at the South African Open, years ago, and I got to see what the very best looked like. And then I got to play tournaments. And then, if you look at, Kevin Anderson and Lloyd Harris and, all the kids coming up after him, I think that's what you have to see. And so I think it's really important to have these events so that kids can compete and also, aspire. I mean, the one thing that I will say is, certainly on the women's and the girls' side, I'd like to see them aspire to be more than college players, right? So a lot of the young women, their goal is to get a scholarship to a college in America. And, our dreams as young players was always to, be in the top 50, be in the top 100 in the world, be #1 in the world, win a Grand Slam title. So, I think it's okay to aspire to be the very best. If you don't get there, that's okay. But you truly, you want to set your goals high. And I think we've got so much talent in South Africa. We've got a great new Fed Cup coach. Roxanne Clark was just named the Billie Jean King Cup captain. We have Jeff Kutsia, who's heading up professional tennis, helping player development for the pros. So, there's a huge opportunity for us in South Africa to develop some players that are not only good in South Africa or can go to school in America, but who can compete on the world stage. There's absolutely no reason why we can't return to the glory days.
And tell me, Ilana, as someone who obviously takes a keen interest in South African tennis, particularly the women's side of it, what, in your experience, is the main obstacle to them, say, making the main draws of the Grand Slams? What's the main sort of obstacle? I mean, I know that geography is an issue for everyone, men and women, but in terms of what you found out, what is, what gets in the way?
Well, I think the most important thing is to have more events in South Africa so that we can compete and kind of get points so that when we do go overseas, we're playing at the highest level. And that's why, the tournament, the Ilana Kloss International, I think there's back-to-back in Potchefstroom and others. That is the most important thing that I believe we can do. Have more events where our young South Africans can compete, learn how to win. When you lose, you learn, you get better. So I think that's huge. And I think, hats off, honestly, to all the companies that are sponsoring tennis in South Africa because, it takes a lot. And if it weren't for, sponsors like BP and Sabina Airlines that helped me go overseas on my first trip, I never, would be where I am today. So I think it's just continuing to invest in tournaments, continue to invest in the best training. I think Tennis South Africa is stepping up. You have to invest, and if you invest, it will pay off. But we have to build some great programs locally. And I have to say I've been really impressed the last 3 years that I've been back. It seems like we're making terrific progress, and there's so many great players who've had past success that want to pass it on. So, I'm committed to doing anything I can to help, yes, women's tennis, but overall South African tennis.
Fantastic stuff. Ilana, thank you so much for joining us this evening, all the way from California. Ilana Kloss there, former WTA world number 19 and also South African number 1. So that tournament will start on the 8th of February, should start if all goes well. And the two $25,000 prize money events which should take place there at the Northwest University in Potchefstroom. So good luck to all those who will participate.